Hey, yo, what's up, guys? Oh, yo, what's up, guys? This is gonna be the Rising of the Shield Hero episode 2 review. Alright, let's talk about it. Yo, I thought this was a very good episode. Um, so the premise of this episode was it wasn't that much in terms of story progression, but it was a lot of character development, I would say for sure. So we see Nafumi in it. He's choosing one of the slaves, and then the slave owner he gives him a teaser of what he can have. Like he shows him his best. I mean, a bit of a flex. Like, yo, check this monster out. I know you can't afford it, but he was like, oh, he was a really good businessman in a sense. He was like, I know you can't afford it, but this is kind of like something. So he's like, oh, we're gonna be regular partners anyway. I mean, like trade deal partners, like consumer relationship. So he was trying to show him what's the best he's got to offer, as he knows he'll come back. So I want to know if Nafumi will ever come back for that dude, that slave dude anyway. Well, never mind. He chooses the little raccoon demi-human. You know, in my opinion, I'm not really a fan of the whole demi-human concept. Like, I mean, the concept is cool, but like, I think the furry thing is just not for me. So this having a female that's like a half animal as well doesn't really appeal to me, to be honest. And I'm not really a fan of it myself. But if other people like it, then I can see why they put it in the show. It is quite popular among the anime community. Not everyone, but like it is quite prevalent. So yeah, but yeah, well, she's a slave. She gets a whole backstory and everything. This character got some crazy development, Raptilia or something, Raptilia. So we find out when we first meet her, she's all timid and she looks like weak and stuff. It turns out her previous master used to torture her and stuff like that. So I can see why she would be timid and be scared. And then she's also got a disease as well, like she's got coughing and stuff, and she looks like in terrible health. But throughout the episode, she undergoes significant growth, I would say. And then she at first when they first when Nafumi first makes the pact with her, he's very cold hearted to her. He's just like, yo, do this now. He's very ruthless and stuff. But throughout the episode, we can see his demeanor change, such as he's more gentle and he's still more kind. But at the start, he was quite rude and quite upfront about everything. Like, do this, do this. He was quite heartless. But as time goes on, you can see that he does have a good heart, and he's starting to like what's the word? Starting to open up to Raptilia, and it could be the same. It could be said the same thing for the other way as well, because she opens up to him as well. Because at the start she just thinks of him as like a previous master, and you can see in this whole world of the what do you call it, the how they treat the slaves and the difference between humans and demigods, the what's it called, the opinions that people have about them, and how looked they're pretty much like it's like a racial thing, and they're like the what do you call it, the subspecies, the second class citizens. They don't really treat them like humans, so they don't treat them right. And then we saw examples of this just throughout the world when Nafumi is watching like another slave owner, such as himself, fellow slave owner, let's call him. The way he treats the slaves, there's no respect, not with kindness at all. It's very harsh and stuff. When he's like just calling that little slave a moron and stuff. And then there's even more examples of this when he's trying to go to the when he's trying to eat in the pub or something, and you see the sign. It says, "We don't serve demi-humans," and that sign has like real historical value, I would say, especially someone in the UK who did history. There used to be signs in pubs within the UK that said no Irish, no blacks, and no dogs. Those kind of signs did actually exist, and like the sign I saw where it said no demi-humans, it reminded me of those kind of signs. So like it was very 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 discriminative, I would say. But like I was quite surprised that the bartender actually served her anyway, because I would assume because of the sign they were gonna straight out refuse her, and he was gonna have he's gonna be quite aggressive with them to get his way. But there was none of that conflict involved, so yeah, it was alright. But I quite enjoyed this episode, like the way they bonded, and like we see what do you call it? A montage, like a time lapse of them two spending time together, and we see all their moments and how close they get. And then it turns out uh, Raptilia, like she actually starts to appreciate what do you call it? Nanafumi as a master, because at first she was obviously doing things against her will, and she was only following this dude because she has to, kind of thing. But then as time goes, and especially like right at the end of the episode, where you can just see how much she appreciates her master, like Nafumi as a master, and like the respect she has for him. Like she basically she has two choices right at the end. It was quite a big choice, right? So obviously she's had this trauma with the Cerberus dog because it killed her villagers and her parents right in front of her eyes at a small age. So obviously that's gonna have a big impact on her mental status as a whole. It's gonna have a traumatic experience, traumatic effects on her. So in the last scene we are seeing like it's basically her facing her fears, right? So she has to choose between her master, who she deeply cares for and respects, and is on like the same level as her parents were. That was shown in the little scene with the comparisons, and she would rather face her fear than lose her master because just shows how this shows the level of bond that these two share now in this series, which was quite nice to have a whole episode dedicated just to this bond. And there's a really comedic scene which I found quite funny. It was a part where she wets the bed as well. I found that pretty funny, to be honest. Yeah, and then Nafumi is just like SMH. You're so done with life. Like Nafumi's been nice the whole time though. At the start he was quite rude, but he's always had good intentions, and it just shows like it just shows that he's a nice person after all. But yeah, finally though they're leveling up now. So I don't know what level they are right now, but the level they showed last I remember was they're around like level 5, 6. So I reckon they got a big XP boost because they beat that level 15 Cerberus. So they're gonna be quite high level now. But this is nice though. I feel like he should get more slaves as well, or like just get some recruitment because just having two members it's not that good. You should get some more. But I really liked this episode, to be honest. There was a lot. It was very nice. It felt really nice and emotional. I mean, like not emotional, but like it was emotionally warming. I did enjoy the happy environment and the two bonding. It was a very good episode, and I would hope to see more in the future.